tell us a little bit about you, first of all, I guess maybe a little bit about how you came to know the Lord, and then how that turned into life beyond the summit.
Okay, well, I got saved July 31st of 1982, and probably not unlike a lot of listeners, I stumbled through to the age of 25 thinking that I had an answer to how life might come together and work well for me, and it wasn't working well for me. I was raised under the umbrella of shame, a household of shame. It's really been generational. I won't go into the details, but it's clearly traceable back 2 or 3 generations. And so being raised that way, when I was 11, my dad told me I would never amount to anything.
Wow.
I'd never amount to anything. And there were ongoing reminders of that until I got out of high school. And really basically what happened in a nutshell is this. My brother and sister are both very high-charging academics. They're academian, they just...
That's where they put their energy because of that, right?
Yeah, and my dad was the same way. He graduated number 2 at U of I in Champaign-Urbana, went to UCLA, just a smart guy. He was an accountant at Boeing. He's gone now, but and he wasn't a Christian. My mom was a believer, my dad not. But anyway, so raised under this, my dad used intimidation to try to kick me into the effort of getting the grade. School just wasn't my thing. And it was hard for him because he had 2 that were performers, and then me, who was in the principal's office more because I was a chatterbox and acting up in class, not in a way that was spiteful, but that was silly. I was disruptive. So I had ADHD. It was undiagnosed at the time, but struggled through that. My dad, gave me those signals that you're worthless and you'll never amount to anything. So imagine how that affects you as you begin to hit college. I became a codependent person. I need your approval. I really lived under a really strong mask. That mask was, I'm going to be what I need to be to get your approval. So I was different things to different people. I had different groups I ran with, but I was always in sync with that group because I chameleoned to that group in order to be accepted. Well, finally, at a point, that doesn't work, right? I mean, you can't survive that long term. And when I was willing to get honest with myself, I found my way to the foot of the cross, and it was a beautiful experience. Got saved at my brother's wedding in Arcadia Park, California, in a beautiful meadow. That afternoon, I'll skip a lot of detail here, but that afternoon, his friends, he and his wife went on their honeymoon. He and his friends, he had his friends get together with me and take me to the ocean to water baptize me. So we went out about 100 feet into 53-degree water. It was a shallow, coastline. Had to go out about 100 feet into the water. They took me down, brought me back up. My life has never been the same, except that I rode that euphoria for about the first 5 years and discovered I was wearing the mask again. I had not been fully, it's the washing of the water of the Word, right, that really brings transformation. And while I was in the Word, I still was haunted by the shame of my past. And that shame began to rear itself, to bring itself forth again very privately. I wasn't letting people know that I was struggling with shame, but I was struggling with shame, so I became a chameleon again. And so after 5 years of riding the high, as it were, I faced off with the reality that I didn't feel like I measured up, that I was really acting. I was born again, but I wasn't really fully, hadn't been fully restored, hadn't been. Well,
you were, the work of sanctification was working, right? So, I mean, you were saved.
Oh, yeah, I was saved. Absolutely.
But there was, just because you're saved doesn't mean you don't have doubts.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You don't have to deal with issues. I mean, and so, yeah.
So I struggled with those.
Was your brother a Christian?
My brother was a Christian too. Okay. I got saved at his wedding. I mean, so you asked that, I'll just say this little piece of it. They had 7 bridesmaids and 7 groomsmen, just curiously. And because he married a gal from Canada, they had a testimonial. Each of those persons took the mic for a minute or two and testified as to the value of this couple coming together to be married, right? Well, I was in his wedding, but I was on the end of the chain of guys, all the groomsmen. And hearing all these stories and having been out there a week in advance, little did I know my brother had all these, he was involved in ministry, so he was very visible and was able to direct that whole group of friends to be praying for me during that week of preparation for his marriage. So our family went out a week in advance to enjoy all the celebration that goes on pre-wedding. And I didn't know they were praying for me, and I also didn't realize he had assigned one brother to kind of be my host all week. I was out of college already, working. But I'm 25 years old, and this guy's kind of my escort for the week, along with my parents and my sister. The rest of our family was there. But this guy really tracked with me and said, "Hey, Steve, are you up yet? Let's go hang out and do this and that." During the week.
Yeah,
and we did. And he didn't really try to put anything on me in terms of spirituality. But I knew he was a believer. They all were. I knew that I was stepping into this beautiful Christian celebration for their marriage. And lo and behold, at the wedding, I'm hearing all these testimonies. I was around this brother and all this wonderful fellowship all week long, and I felt compelled. I didn't really have much to say about Madeline, my brother's future wife, because I didn't know her, and they were mostly testifying. The guys about Jay and Madeline, and the girls the same. Well, I could only speak about my brother, but I said, I've got things I can say about my brother. But I started crying. I said, I feel like I want to accept Jesus Christ. I'm on a microphone. Yeah. There's 300 or 400 people in this meadow, and they all go crazy in uproar. And my brother says, "Hold that thought." Yeah, and he says to the pastor, he takes the mic. He says, go ahead and marry us, and then congregants and wedding party, we're going to lay hands on my brother and allow him to ask the Lord into his life. And so right after the wedding, before the reception, as a part of the wedding, my brother Jay brought me into my own wedding. Awesome. The bride of Christ, really, the whole notion of it was beautiful. I mean, it gives me chills, really, even just to tell you the story again.
Hey, thanks for watching this short with us today. And if you like it, check out our full episodes on our channel and website. We'll put those in the links below. And as always, Scott,
like and subscribe, or subscribe and then like, whatever order you want, really.
Whatever order you like.
Yeah.
Thanks.